This is Portugal, and this is Montaria. Not a casual hunt, but a coordinated wildlife management operation where people and nature are trying to restore a balance long lost. Across these sun-washed hills and ancient oak forests, one creature has been expanding its territory, the European wild boar. Smart, adaptable, and multiplying at a pace no natural boundary can contain, they've become one of the most challenging invasive forces in modern agriculture. Every year, the damage rises into the billions, fields torn apart, forest soil disrupted, and the constant threat of disease spreading to livestock. But behind those numbers are real families, farmers whose roots run generations deep into this land, now facing a crisis that grows closer to home with each passing season. And here in Montaria, the control teams, partners of Neo Farm, are stepping into action, not for recognition, not for thrill or excitement, but out of a responsibility to protect the land, the crops, and the balance of nature itself. Across Europe, hunting is no longer a pastime. It has become a regulated part of environmental management, strictly supervised and carried out under absolute safety standards. Because when wild boar populations grow beyond control, the consequences reach far beyond the fields. They ripple through the entire ecological chain. To restore balance, people must rely on a method both organized and deeply rooted in tradition. Montaria, a strategy built on discipline, experience, and the coordinated effort of an entire community. In today's episode, Neo Farm invites you to look closer at this invading species, to understand how they survive, how they think, and how they adapt to landscapes we once believed were under human control. Then, we'll move through 6 real Montaria operations across the Iberian Peninsula, where ordinary people carry out extraordinary work to protect the natural balance. Because in the end, this isn't just a battle. It is a reminder that humanity must work with nature, not against it. And the question remains, if we don't stand up to protect this land, then who will? Wild boars, creatures that may look ordinary at first glance, yet inside them lies a survival machine shaped by thousands of years of evolution. Their very biology is what makes them one of the most dangerous invasive species in Europe today. In just a few hours, a single sounder of wild boar can turn a fertile field into a wasteland. Their constant rooting and digging strip away the topsoil, destroy irrigation systems, and erase months of a farmer's hard work overnight. Their bodies stand as proof of near-perfect adaptation. A hide as thick as natural armor, powerful muscle structure, remarkable speed, and endurance that borders on the unbelievable. A mature wild boar, whether in Europe or the United States, can weigh well over 200 kilograms, yet still move for hours across steep hills, dense brush, and rocky ground without ever slowing down. But what makes them a true challenge is not just their strength, it's their extraordinary ability to reproduce. A single sow can deliver 2 litters a year, each with 4 to 6 piglets. And in just 12 months, their population can double. That biological pace outstrips nearly every other wild mammal in Europe, turning every control effort into a race against time. And this problem is not limited to Europe. Look at the United States, especially Texas, where more than 2.6 million feral hogs were estimated to roam the state in 2020. Every year, agricultural losses in Texas alone reach nearly $118.8 million. The parallels between Europe and Texas reveal a simple truth. When a species this resilient, this adaptable, and this explosive in reproduction is unleashed into an environment with no natural predator strong enough to keep it in check, the consequences spread everywhere, across farms, forests, rangelands, and even the outer edges of urban life. This is a reminder that the fight against invasive species has no borders. Their success doesn't come from strength alone, but from intelligence and an almost unmatched ability to adapt. In the wild, they are observers, learners, and quick thinkers, able to change their behavior faster than most large mammals. They live by night, becoming the shadows of the forest. When people fall asleep, the sounder begins to move, slipping quietly through farmland and oak woodlands, using darkness itself as a shield against every threat. Their intelligence is nothing short of remarkable. One encounter with danger is often all it takes for a wild boar to remember that area and avoid it for weeks. Across Europe, biologists have documented sounders changing their entire travel routes simply because they detected a trace of metal scent or an unfamiliar sound. They also adjust their feeding habits with the seasons, moving from open farmland to the oak forests as soon as the harvest ends. Their ability to adapt to almost any environment is astonishing. From the dry oak forests of Portugal to the damp countryside of France, wherever there is water and a source of food, they survive. This combination of flexible behavior, adaptive intelligence, and relentless survival instinct has turned the wild boar into one of the most difficult invasive species to control anywhere on the planet, and into one of the greatest challenges for humanity's efforts to restore ecological balance. The threat posed by wild boars goes far beyond economic damage. They carry a quieter, yet far more dangerous risk: disease and ecological imbalance. Researchers have identified more than 30 viruses, bacteria, and parasites that can live inside a wild boar, including pathogens capable of infecting livestock and even humans. As their population explodes, so does the risk of spreading diseases like African swine fever, a virus that has devastated global livestock production for years. In this reality, managing wild boar populations is not simply an agricultural measure. It is a matter of public health and environmental protection. Across Europe and in southern U.S. states like Texas, management programs are carried out under strict standards of ethics and safety. The goal is not eradication, but reducing biological pressure, protecting crops, and preventing the spread of disease. In every operation, ethics come first. Every action must be humane, swift, and responsible, avoiding unnecessary suffering to any animal. That is the line between hunting and biological control, between action and responsibility. Because in the end, we are not seeking glory in the pursuit. We are seeking to restore the balance between nature and life itself, a balance that we humans have unintentionally disrupted. Dealing with a creature as intelligent, agile, and highly organized as the wild boar is never a simple task. These animals aren't just powerful, they are remarkably perceptive, fast on their feet, and fully adapted to the landscape they dominate. They move with instinctive coordination, read their surroundings with sharp awareness, and react in ways that can surprise even the most seasoned wildlife professionals. That's why any team responding to them must operate with absolute professionalism, the steady mindset of a trained operator, and an unwavering commitment to public safety. No control operation is ever carried out casually. Every mission is strategically planned with the level of precision you'd expect from a small, well-coordinated military operation. Terrain maps are studied, herd behavior is analyzed, and every possible scenario is outlined before anyone even steps into the field. Modern technology, tracking devices, thermal imaging, real-time communication systems is integrated seamlessly with strict discipline, hands-on expertise, and years of field experience. When all these elements align, the team functions like a finely tuned machine, moving with purpose, responding with calm accuracy, and making split-second decisions even under the most intense conditions. The goal isn't just to achieve maximum effectiveness, it's to ensure complete safety for residents, livestock, and the personnel involved. Because when you're dealing with a creature as powerful and sharp-witted as the wild boar, professionalism isn't just an advantage, it's an absolute requirement. When the operation ends, the cornfield slowly returns to silence. The wind moving through the stalks takes the place of radio signals and coordinating calls. In that quiet, the true scale of the mission comes into view. Teams begin their checks, their documentation, their recovery work, all carried out under strict protocol. The goal is not victory, it is population control and the protection of biological safety for the farmland. Each wild boar is examined carefully by local veterinary staff, tested for pathogens, especially African swine fever, one of the greatest threats to European agriculture. The data collected is then forwarded to environmental authorities, feeding into a wider network of monitoring and population research across the region. From holding formation, to maintaining radio communication, to post-operation inspection and biosecurity procedures, every step reflects the professionalism and responsibility required to protect the land. Among the rows of corn that still bear the traces of the drive, Montaria emerges not as a hunt, but as a disciplined and carefully organized form of biological management. Because in the end, Montaria is not about conflict between people and nature. It is an effort to restore order, so that humans and the natural world can coexist within the fragile balance that both depend on.
Aí, pessoal, pulou pra cana ali, ó.
As the sun sets, the cornfield settles back into silence, as if no operation had ever taken place. But for Neo Farm, what remains is not the image of the hunt, but the lesson of responsibility and balance. Ontario shows us that humans can act, but must understand their limits. We can manage wildlife, but we cannot force ourselves upon nature. That is the message Neo Farm hopes to share. Protect the crops, protect the land, and respect the wild world around us. If you believe in responsibility and in the fragile balance between people and nature, then walk this journey with Neo Farm. Share, follow, and help us carry this mission forward, because nature cannot speak for itself, and we are the ones who must speak on its behalf. Neo Farm, where the stories of land, people, and the natural world continue to be told for the future of balance.